Please write linguistic geography. Not linguistic determinism, but linguistic geography. That's your next heading here. Those of you who like to think, I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. I find this so interesting. This map here shows you. I'm doing this for the benefit of Chris so that he can see the little hand moving around. PIE, that stands for Proto-Indo-European. You see down here, Indo-European. Of course, you don't even have to look down there because you know Indo is for India. Proto-Indo-European languages. What does proto mean? Earliest. Sort of original. Earliest, proto. You may have heard the word prototype. Hey, I've got a prototype of this thing. It's an early plan of this design I want, this engineering, whatever. So Proto-Indo-European language group. About 5,000 years ago. Nomadic, clearly, because there was no agriculture up here. And this tribe of nomads who spoke this earliest Indo-European language started migrating in different directions. And this is why it's interesting. So they migrate into Europe, but they also migrate into Central Asia, Iran, and even into India. And they conquered India. You remember that in your, again, like, you know, world history is so interesting, but not in a world history class because there's just too much. And you know. Do you remember the original Indians were the Mohenjo-Daro Harappans, and then they were like overtaken by the Indo-Europeans, the Aryans? So you had these original Indians who were not the ones that are there now, because the ones that are there now invaded and took over the ancient, like 2,000-year-old Indian civilization. Well, they were the Aryans, the Indo-Europeans. And they did that about 2,000 years BC. And they're still there. They conquered it. All right? Who cares? I care, first of all, because I was thinking this myself, and here's my claim. Challenge me if you want. To me, if India has the same language in its grammar and syntax and all sorts of stuff as Europe, then I don't think India should be called Asia. I think India should be considered Western, because their brains use a certain language that has certain features that makes Indian culture process experience based on, and here's the part that's interesting, if you want to figure it out, based on the same thing that English has: subject, verb, object, things, nouns. We're a noun-based language. Oh, I'm sorry, that's a sentence fragment. You don't have a subject in it. The thing that did something. John kicks the ball. If you say kick the ball, oh no, that's a sentence fragment. You have to have the thing that kicks the ball, right? And so Indo-European is a noun-based language. The argument is that the Indian mind, because of the language, processes, experience the world in terms of things. Nouns, things. Okay, so I'm going to see the world in terms of things. Here's the contrast. Oh, and by the way, going back, notice the Greeks, Indo-European, the Italians, the Celts, which will end up being like the French and all sorts, the Germans, which will include Anglo-Saxon, which is our English, the Baltics, Armenian, Turkish, Iranian, Indian. I forget what this is. I think it doesn't matter. So you see that all of those languages are all, at the very, very root, noun-based. What do you think China is? It's not noun-based. This is why it's interesting.
Because I really quite really have to learn Chinese, but like even though there are languages, I mean, it's just really different.
Yeah, trust me, I spent the summer studying it 40 hours a week for 8 weeks. I agree with you. But my question was, if Indo-European languages are noun-based, what do you think the Chinese language is? It's not noun-based. What other way can you process experience if it's not by, okay, the separated things? What other main parts of speech are there besides nouns? Verbs. Talk amongst yourself for 30 seconds. Take 5 seconds to think about it, because you're right. China has been described by linguists and philosophers as a verbal, or gerund. Gerunds are like running, It's a noun as a verb. As a verb-based language. If your brain has been programmed by a verb-based language to process reality in terms of actions instead of things, separated things, what's the difference that might make to you as a culture? Is that too deep for you to discuss? I hope not. See if you can do anything with that. In 15 seconds, I want to point to each table, and I want each table to tell me the most interesting idea that came out. Notice there's no wrong answers here. Who knows? Maybe we'll learn something new. All right, I got to move on. So, pointing. What do you got, Noah? Subject, thoughts of things. What would a verb-based one?
Like actions, lots of commands.
Lots of commands and actions. Anybody else have anything that you found interesting? This table, anything? Yes or no? No? This table?
We thought because like people count as nouns, maybe it's less individualized and more group-based.
Yeah, no, non-noun-based one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It gets really deep, but we'll get there when we hit Taoism, especially. Anything come out here?
We said that they'd like have a different perspective of
But you didn't get to the how. Or possible ways. Anything over here?
I think it'd be less about like categorizing things in your mind and more a continuation, so like in your daily life it'd be more fluid.
That's very interesting. Did you hear that? It wouldn't be about categorizing things into different categories, but instead it would be about fluid and fluid implies time, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd have a better sense of time passing.
Yeah, because of the flow of action. Action takes time, and action takes several other things. If you think about what action takes, does action separate people, or does it connect people? Think about it. Because? Everybody's doing the same thing? What's the verb that's going on between us right now? Okay, speaking. Does it connect us?
Yeah.
Why? Because you are verbing to me, right? Verbs require actually like interactions between. Nouns actually separate into different categories, as you were saying. That was pretty pregnant. That was pretty good. Did you close it all the way? Good. You did it so well, I couldn't even tell. That was really good, Nadine. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, like, we thought that Chinese language can be considered as verbal language because each character imitates or resembles specific action or image, and I thought that makes Chinese language more progressive than written language.
Yes, the language itself, and we'll get there with the Shang Dynasty, which created the language, and the fact that the language itself is pictures of things in relation with each other, right? Not separate. And so this nouns separate. People are not things, and animals are not people, and everything is a separate thing in its own category. Verbs connect. That's just the beginning. I went more into detail with this class than with any other class, so I'm going to pull back out. This map brings it home. So look at these bloody Indo-Europeans. All of these different colors are Indo-European language groups. Look what they could not penetrate. There it is. What's not colored? China and Arabia, same type thing, geographically isolated, right? But China, yeah, they couldn't. So even linguistically, China is a different world.